Hey guys, it's Kelsey. I am here in my pajamas bright and early for you guys. I figured this is kind of what I used to do when I was in nursing school. I'd get up and start reading really early with my coffee. So I kind of wanted to come and talk with you guys today about my nursing school experience because I've been getting a lot of emails and messages from students right now, just kind of talking about their struggles and what they're going through and how classes are hard and it's emotional and it's draining and they feel like they might be failing, yada yada. Been there and done that. I just wanted to let you guys know that my experience through nursing school was awful. Like, it was so rough. Ultimately, it was redeeming and like amazing. And I remember like walking across the stage at graduation being like, I did it. It was just this awesome experience of you and this feeling of euphoria, but it took a lot to get there. So I wanted to share with you guys what helped me be successful in nursing school. So when I went through school, it took a long time for me to get into nursing school, and it also was a challenge once I got into nursing school. So I was never one to study my pants off in high school. Like, when I went to nursing school, my prerequisites I was 18, so I was super young. And I really didn't have like a high school experience that required me to like really study and have studying habits and be disciplined. It just kind of like came naturally. And I always hate when people say that. You're like, what? Came naturally? Like, that's stupid. That's a cop out. But I really don't think I was challenged in high school. I grew up in Florida. I think their education systems are right. But anyway, so when I got into nursing school, I was definitely like, it was a reality check because I couldn't just show up to class and lecture and take these tests and do well on them. And it took me not passing an adult health class to figure that out. Don't let not passing a class or failing be what motivates you. And I want you to hear this because it's not fun. You have to restart everything. You're retaking everything. You're behind a year. Don't let that be what motivates you to get your act together. So hear me out when I say this. I had to change a lot of my previous habits of what I had been doing. When I got into nursing school, I was 20 after all my prerequisites were done. And I went to Tallahassee Community College. It was an ADN program, so it was an associate's degree. It's a 2-year program. And I would sit in the back of the class. I would bring my little MacBook and I would be on Facebook. I would be on my cell phone, and I'm pretty sure the professors knew. They just ignored me and thought, it's your fault if you don't want, if you don't want this. And it wasn't that I didn't want this. I honestly don't think I had the maturity, and I don't think I understood exactly, like, this is my job. This is my future. This is what I want to do, but I'm not really acting like I want to do it. So needless to say, I did not end up passing one of my adult health classes. I passed the first semester of nursing school, but that second semester when I took adult health, it was extremely hard. And it was hard because I was not prepared and I did not study. So let me tell you guys what changed about me. I went from being that girl that sat in the back of the class to being that girl that showed up 10 minutes before lecture, put my book on my table, sat out my note cards. I brought my backpack, bought a backpack. That was a change. Had supplies. I was prepared. Preparation, number one. Came with my note cards, came with my highlighter, came with my little sketchbook just to write down any key points. I sat in the front of the class. And the reason I sat in the front of the class is because everybody thinks, oh my gosh, that's so scary. Like, the professor's right there. They can see everything. They pick on you, like, to answer questions and whatnot. No. You are able to actively listen when you're in the front of the class because you sure as heck aren't going to be, doing something else when the professor's right there. It's thought-provoking because you're really engaging and comprehending what is being said in lecture. And also, you are able to ask questions because you're listening more and you're hearing things and you're more intuitive and you're wanting to ask those questions because you're there listening to what they're teaching, and that's why you're there. You're there to listen, you're there to learn, you're there to ask questions. So it literally was a game changer for me because I felt like not only was I retaining information from lecture that I wasn't retaining before, but before I came to lecture, this is kind of my second point, I would go to my favorite coffee shop in town. It was called Red Eye Coffee. and I would get my cup of coffee and I would sit and I would read the chapters before lecture. Not only was I reading like throughout the week, but I made a point to get up before my 9 o'clock class, head to Red Eye, the coffee shop, at 7 o'clock in the morning, and I would read all the way up until about 8:30, and then I'd head over to class. So I was reading once, like just reading the whole chapter on my own before, like a couple days before the class, over the weekend, whatever it was. Then I was reading again before lecture, and I had been doing notes, like I do notes throughout everything. And then when I was in lecture, I was taking, highlighting key points. I was, if the teacher said, take note, I was able to write that down. So I was getting 3 times that I was able to understand the material. And repetition is what it takes in nursing school. I'm convinced. It's just repeating and learning. I am not the best auditory learner. I am completely visual. I was always that person that drew out if there was a disease process or let's say Graves' disease. I would sit and I would draw out my Graves patient. I would draw the face, the skinny face with the big bulgy eyes, and I would draw the heart with an arrow pointing up, like high heart rate, diaphoretic, just very skinny, because everything in Graves' disease is hyper. So because I was a visual learner, I would draw out these people, and I was drawing them out in my handwriting. I was writing out terms in my handwriting, and I was able to see things the way that my brain draws and sees things. So it was just it was how I could comprehend well. So that was super helpful, was drawing out symptoms and drawing out disease process. And the note cards that I would do, I'd get my they weren't even 5x7, they were smaller. I think they were like a 4x6. And I would just write the terminology. First of all, I would do the chapters. I would do the outlines in the chapter. Sometimes the outlines have to do with every paragraph in the chapter. If that's what they wanted me to know, I knew it because I had no plan B. Nursing was it for me, and I wanted to know everything I needed to know about it because that was going to make me a better nurse. So I would do a highlight term, and then I would turn it around. I would write the symptoms. I'd write the lab values involved with that disease process. I would write, tests to be run. That was another thing. And here's the deal with nursing school. So when you're in nursing school, nothing really connects. It's kind of like, it's super, super helpful if you can comprehend and understand a disease process. That is going to help you get A's on tests. That is going to help you pass nursing school. That's going to help you do well. Because when you understand how a disease works, what organs it affects, what labs are from each of those organs. If you understand all that stuff, you're going to be able to answer questions appropriately and accurately because you know what's being affected. For example, with heart failure, with right-sided heart failure, it ultimately pushes back and it can affect your liver. And if your liver enzymes are elevated, it could be from the heart failure because it's enlarging your liver and there's issues going on. You guys may not know what I'm talking about, but that's what I'm saying is like there are things that get affected from disease processes. So if you understand all of the organs and things that get affected, you're going to be able to answer questions appropriately. And in nursing school, you're not exposed to it on a daily basis like we are on the floor. So you don't get a really good grasp on it at that time. And it's really from just memorization. But repetition is going to help you. Reading these note cards, reading these symptoms, reading the pathophysiology over and over and over again. That's going to help you pass school. So those were some things that I did. As I read the chapters, I did note cards, I did the outlines. I even went and got a book. It was by HESI, which is the entrance exam we had to take in nursing school, but it was also one of the prep books for the NCLEX, that broke down systems, cardiovascular, renal, endocrine, all those things. And they touched on the key points that the NCLEX typically touches on. And that's what nursing school is going to test you on. They're going to test you on NCLEX material because ultimately they want you to pass the NCLEX. So I would get a book that was reputable by NCLEX or just had really good reviews and class school reviews. So I studied from that before each test. So I literally had my note cards, I read the chapters, I highlighted everything, I had my case studies, I had my HESI book. I did anything and everything to prepare for class. And that was after I didn't pass my adult health class the first time around. It just kicked me into gear. I know that Will Smith was interviewed in a book. I don't know if it was a book that he wrote or if it was someone who featured him, but he basically said the question was asked, how are you so successful in what you do? Because I think Will Smith is like the number one successful something male actor in the world. And he just said, I don't have a plan B. Like, I never had a plan B. It was plan A, and whatever I needed to do for plan A, I did it. And that's kind of how nursing school is. You have to devote your life to it. You have to literally cut out everything. There are going to be times, one of my things is I really made sure that on Sunday nights I went to church. Like, I really wanted to go to church. That was something that was important to me, and it actually rejuvenated me and helped me get through my week. So that was like the one thing that I really sacrificed, like my time, like making sure I go and spent time there. But my friends who had little, like, we would watch The Bachelor in high school and in college, and we would have movie nights and whatnot. I had to cut those out because I literally devoted my whole time and being to nursing school. It's hard. It's draining. It's emotional. I cried every week. I went through a really bad breakup during nursing school. It was awful. I almost thought I was going to have to take off a semester because of it. It demands everything of you, spiritually, emotionally, physically, mentally, the list goes on. But I cannot tell you how worth it is. To go into a test and know that you prepared your butt off for this test, you did everything that you could do, and I promise you will do well. You will do well on that test. I made B's and A's the rest of my career in nursing school. Walking across that stage on graduation was the most amazing feeling in the world, having my parents there and my family and my friends, knowing what I had to go through during nursing school to get to that point. All the setbacks and failures along the way. It does not matter how you get there. It doesn't matter what your grades were getting there. As long as you had passing grades, C equals RN, as long as you get there, I don't care what route you take, you are still a nurse and you are going to be amazing. So I encourage you guys, I'm trying to make sure I got everything. Study your butts off. Don't make excuses. Don't let failing be what motivates you. Don't do that. Don't do what I did. Do it now. Nip it in the butt. Get your stuff done. After this, I hope you go to the library and you start studying and you open that book and you just truly devote everything to it. I promise you, you will not regret it. And I'm teaching you from my failures. So anyway, you guys are awesome. Nursing students are amazing. You guys are so smart. It's the best job in the world. Oh my goodness. I can't even say I'm off today. I'm sitting here talking to you, drinking coffee because I only work 3 days a week. Like, hey, how cool is that? And I had just an awesome day yesterday. It was one of the hardest days that I've had. I had a lot of heavy patients as far as their acuities went. But I left work thinking how drained and how hard that day was. But the patients that I was taking care of, their issues were really serious, but they were some of the most beautiful people. And I just was able to hug a couple of them when I left. And, it makes me want to go back and see them next time at work just to say, hey, and how are you doing? Because I got to take care of them. It's just awesome, guys. So study hard, do your work. If you have any questions, let me know. You guys rock. And please go subscribe to yourheartismine.net and add me on Instagram, Your Heart Is Mine RN. And yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you guys have a great day. Study hard. Your heart is mine. Bye.